My name is Indran Amir Thanayagam. I serve on the board of DC Alt, the wonderful association of translators that is co-sponsoring this event tonight and does this reading every year. And it's just a great honor and a pleasure for me to have just joined the organization. And I invite you to look for these pins and the T-shirts and sign up if you're interested in engaging with other translators, whatever language you translate from or into, in conversation, in workshops, in sharing of shop talk information throughout the course of the year. So there is a small fee to join. I'll tell you quietly if you want. It's $25, I think. But it's well worth it. And there's also a national organization called the Association of Literary Translators, ALTA, which has a national conference every year. It's something, if you're interested in, we can talk about. After all that, let me leave the mic and introduce you to Mark Miller, who you all know, who doesn't need an introduction, but I'll leave you, Mark, with the phone. Thank you.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you for coming. Just to set the context, each year, International Translation Day is celebrated. You can see a picture of Saint Jerome, who is accused of having translated the Bible into the Latin Vulgate. International Translation Day coincides with the feast day of Saint Jerome, but it's not really a religious holiday. And the United Nations has declared international translation to be observed as an international event. And I have the resolutions in both French and English. And you may wonder which one is the translation. Neither one, they're both the original. Just, you know, so that's from a legal perspective. Okay, so the Feast of Saint Jerome, this is part of the DC Alt sponsored open mic translatable event. I like to think of it as kind of the kickoff event for the Confluence Translation Conference, which will include a series of events that are student-oriented throughout the semester or throughout the whole academic year. And one of the most important events that I think a lot of you will be interested in is our annual all-day Saturday conference, which will be held this year on April 6th. And there have been some problems with the date. I won't tell you the whole story, but keep in mind, Saturday, April 6th, and there's a call for proposals for workshops and presentation that should come out within a week or two, and it'll get distributed on DC Alt and all the other places you might want to see that. So I would also like to invite anyone who is interested in helping to organize that event or future translation-related events as part of Confluence to be in touch with me. I'm Mark Miller. You can find me on the Confluence website, my email, my telephone. And now, what I want to do, I don't know if it was last year or the year before, I did not ask to have a spot to read something, but my good friend Albert Kapikian signed up and then said, Mark, I'm yielding my time to the gentleman from the library. And so I was kind of on the spot, and I began reading a poem. It's probably the most famous poem in the world. Children learn it all over the world. Beginners learning Chinese learn it as sort of the first poem you learn. But it's an especially appropriate poem because of the season we're in. A few days ago was the full moon of the Mid-Autumn Festival. And some of you may have enjoyed the mooncakes that Professor Dr. Min Van Chan prepared, and also the beautiful watermelon sculpture. Lovely, huh? Beautiful. Yeah. So okay. So I'm going to read this poem, and then I'm going to give you a kind of a para-translation or something. I don't really know if it's a translation, but I'll say it, and then I'll get off the stage and turn things back over to Indran. Here it begins. It's a poem by Li Bai, most famous poem in the world. Every child knows it. You feel free to recite it along with me if you want. Zhuang Qian Ming Yue Guang, Yi Shi Di Shang Shuang, Ju To Wang Ming Yue, Di To Si Gu Shang. And it's been translated by almost everybody. Not only is it famous that way, but it's been translated. I mean, you can't name someone who hasn't translated it, and even I have almost translated it. So I tried to preserve there are only 20 syllables, and I tried to preserve the 4 lines of 5 syllables. And so it's not really like in English. It's probably not a good translation, and I had to take a little bit of liberty to keep before as a single syllable, so it's like B apostrophe before, which is kind of ugly too. And in the microphone, it'll sound really good, for. But so here's my translation. Before bed shines moon round, as if frost on ground. Raise head toward bright moon, bow head miss hometown. So.
Facebook Live. Now, I can't Facebook Live and be the MC, so if anybody here has a cell phone and wants to Facebook Live this, please let me know, or just start Facebook Living it, and we'll be eternally grateful, all right? I will be anyway. No, and seriously, it's very easy. You just go into Facebook, press, and we'll have a record of this evening. We're going to begin, well, we have begun, but we're going to continue with, you'll have to forgive me if I can't read the first name, but is it Van Tran? Mon Van Tran? You are going to kick us off. Come. And you'll be reading in Vietnamese and English, or? Okay, great. Welcome. A round of applause. Thank you.
How tall I am. I'm the tallest person in here. Yeah, I know. Hi, everybody. I don't know why I'm the second one. I think I'm the last one, right? But better go and got right. So, could you please tell them some words because you translated this? No? Oh, okay. So this poem I wrote some days ago on the occasion of the Mid-Autumn Festival. My father passed away 22 years ago, but deep inside, like just yesterday, I love him so much. And the sweet memory, every year in Vietnam, Mid-Autumn Festival is a very nice occasion for kids to get together, eat the mooncake like you just enjoyed, sing songs, and they have some lanterns. But me, I prefer staying home with him because all my half-brothers going out and play, but me, say, with daddy, reading poems, reciting poem, writing poem, and we love tea a lot. So I drink a lot of tea. So then this poem is just for him, the first part. The last two, when I remember the Florence storm just recently, so I just thought of children there. I have some friends live in North Carolina, so the kids couldn't celebrate anything there. So the last two lines for them. So I will read my poem in Vietnamese, and my dear student, and then will read the translation into English. Vài dòng gửi bố đêm trung thu. Bồi hồi con nhớ trung thu xưa, trăng sáng hương chè gió thoảng đưa. Sân vắng bố con ra cùng ngắm, cung quế chị Hằng đã đến chưa? Bánh ngọt 3 chiếc chừng đã đủ, chè đắng 10 ly vẫn chẳng vừa. Trung thu nay đến mây vần vũ, bao trẻ xa nhà tránh gió mưa.
Come back, dear Kathy Moon Night, full and bright, tea scent wafting. We two gaze from our still porch, goddess, still in thy palace? Sweet mooncakes, 3 were enough. Tea, Teacups could not quench thirst. Now clouds gathers, rain, rough wind. Who will shelter these drenched child?
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. No, it's okay. I'm just stretching my neck, trying to get taller. No, it's such a pleasure hearing poems from across the globe, that we're one world, one community, and it's just humbling and just beautiful. Thank you. I think we're going to hear from a veteran and a great friend of D.C. Alt and fellow board member, Roman Kostovsky. Roman? Thank you.
Got too many toys. Okay, so my name is Roman Kostovsky, and I run a publishing company called Plum and Press, based here in DC, and we focus on translated literature from Central, Eastern, and Southeastern Europe. And our newest addition to our publications is going to be a book by a Macedonian poet, Ilya Kostovsky. And he's a interesting character because he lived here in DC. He also happened to be my father. But he was a refugee from the Greek Civil War. At the age of 14, he was illiterate, and at the age of 27, he got a PhD and spoke 11 languages. And when he was younger, he spent some time in San Francisco with the beatnik poets. And so he got to befriend people like Lawrence Ferlinghetti and Jack Hirschman, who is the poet laureate of San Francisco. And the poem that I'm going to read, it's called The Sermon at the Washington Monument, is translated by Jack Hirschman. So I know we have 5 minutes, so I need someone to sort of tell me, cut. Okay? I will abide by it. Yeah, just, this is good. Because it is a long poem, and I don't believe I'll be able to read it all, and I'm fine with not reading it all. The beatnik poet Ferlinghetti once told me, the Anglo-Saxons speak the truth with half-closed mouths. With half-closed mouths, it is easy to lie. That is why I will lift my voice today and speak to you. Poets of the capital of the United States, poets from Georgetown, poets from Chevy Chase, your heavy faces resemble lobsters and steaks. Get out from your well-heated laboratories, from behind your facades, your rusted chariots. Look at the sky. The heaven is pregnant. Very soon, it will give birth to some new rhyme of free-versed idiots. I hear America is not singing anymore. All songs are dead, and you are the executioner. I hear the bums, the hungry, the abused. I hear the city with Japanese cherry trees, Victorian homes and decorated girls. I hear drunkards at midnight, at noon. I hear people who have walked on the moon. I hear museums with spaceships and Cherokeed bones. I hear monuments to assassinated presidents. I hear the tears without pillows. I hear the ghosts of thousands of haunted houses. I hear the homes with eternal agonies. I hear pentagons. I hear the First Lady singing with Sinatra to benefit the crippled and the poor. I hear tycoons. I hear the homeless. I hear fireworks on the 4th of July. I hear the filibusters. I hear the religious crusaders. I hear the public and hidden bastards. I hear the gurus and God bless America. I hear the police in bulletproof vests shooting and being shot. I hear newspaper boys. I hear acrobats, politicians, diplomats. I hear rock fans and Redskins fans. I hear the moral majority. I hear criminal killers, victim soul healers. I hear the lesbians and the gays. I hear the eternal radiance of the streets. I hear Jehovah's Witnesses. I hear readers of the Wall Street Journal. I hear the city springs and winters. I hear the money printers. I hear drug dealers, crime dealers. I hear dealers in dreams. I hear dealers in God. I hear dealers in beauty. I hear dealers in foreign kings. I hear dealers in kids and guns, dealers in houses and justice. I hear dealers in insanity, in dictators, law dealers, playboy dealers, body dealers, dealers in theocracy, dealers in liberty and democracy. I hear the mighty plutocracy. Only you are silent, poets of the capital of the United States. There were times when the mighty kings and czars feared poets. Thousands of years ago, the youth gathered to listen to Ovid, the singer of Rome, who was driven from his home from the songs by Augustus the Emperor. Have you ever known Francois Villon, who multiplied his life on the gallows? Have you ever known Lord Byron, who died for the liberty of the Hellenes? Who fears your songs? Who fears your chirping? Do they whisper your lines, those who are in love? Do they seek comfort in your words, those who are in despair? Who wants to wear the rags of your spirit? Who wants to breathe the pollution of your mind? I know your only worry is whether your daughters excel in ballet or riding Arabian horses. I would rather go to the southeast corners of the city and listen to the tales of the toothless and the drunk. Why do you dye your gray hair, the gray hair of your souls? Behold, the road to the heart lies through the heart. You are bad players in the game of art. Come from your beaten paths. Come from your private roads. I've got to stop. All right, keep going? Okay. I, Ilya Kostovsky, multilingual bard, man of letters, philosopher, and tireless wanderer, will stride your Bethesda streets in the dress of a medieval rat catcher, and I will sing to you Apollinaire's alcohols. With the ozone of my songs, I will crush your 100-story boredom. Didn't you hear Zarathustra's exhorting to break the windows and enter into the fresh air? Oh, you cowards never broke a window in your lives. You have fancy fences and alarm systems. You have plenty of food for your wives, for your dogs, but your songs are malnourished. You are nameless and voiceless, without identity, without a piece of eternity. To whom will you offer your pages? My words will never die. I dug them from the mountains of time. My cry will be carved in the stone of ages. I, Ilya Kostovsky, the stuntman, want to show you today my daring jumps from racehorses under the ruined pillars of the Reichstag, from the copper roofs where the Russian soldiers raised the red flags. I will bring you ash from the barbecued flesh of millions. Behold, today, the President of the United States on Pennsylvania Avenue will preach a sermon of how to survive a nuclear war. Behold, worn-out prophets, I know you scorn my word sabers. Today, I will give you roles to act in my puppet plays. I will hem the futures of your sons with broken pieces of dreams and kisses I have gathered in the Anacostia slums. This was written in 1984. How relevant it has become.
Thank you. Thank you, Roman. Now we're going to hear from David Lott. David? Okay, great. Just a note, do sign up for our events. They're all free, open to everybody, and they don't cost anything. So if you want to be a member, that's great, but if you don't want to be a member, that's fine too. But sign up and engage, all right? So please leave us your emails and other such details. Okay, David Lott.
First of all, I got to say, how does anybody follow that up? We should all go home after a poem like that. Good night, everybody. Please drive safely. Seriously, though, I got to put in a quick plug, first of all, for a journal that I work on. I'm the poetry editor for a journal that is produced by this campus called the Sligo Journal. Several people who are here tonight published in our journal, thankfully, wonderful poets, Indran for one, Yvette for another, Joanne did. Roman, I'm begging you to send us something. Really looking forward to that. So that's my plug. Now for my poem. So this poem, you're going to have to, I'm going to take a couple liberties with the term translation here. Let me give you a little background. A good friend and a colleague sadly passed away. This is somebody that Albert and I knew. He taught on the Rockville campus. His name is Cliff Collins. Cliff recently had a memorial service, and it reminded me that it was something he told me one time. This is his collection of poems called Lives of the Apostles. What Cliff told me, now you have to imagine this being told to me in an accent from the deep South, because he prided himself on being from the town of, as he would say, Byron, Georgia. And being from Byron, Georgia, he said to me, you know, I'm going to write memoirs one day. And the memoirs that I'm going to write are going to be called, he says, I have the title, I just haven't written the memoirs. And the title was, he said, it's going to be called Bussin' Up a Schifferobe. And bussin' up a schifferobe, for those of you who might remember, is a line from To Kill a Mockingbird. He was a bit of a mockingbird himself, Cliff Collins. But he said to me one day, he said, if you ever take my memoirs one day and read them in class, make sure you tell your students that when you read parts of these memoirs in class with your Yankee mouth, he told me, make sure they know it's a translation. So I'm going to take a little liberty here to read a poem from his collection called Lives of the Apostles. Luckily, before he passed away, he left us with a very nice collection of poems. So I'm not going to read in two languages. I'm going to read in my northern accent and northeastern accent, and I'm going to just hope that you can imagine how this poem would come out if someone read it who was from Byron, Georgia. This poem is called Homecoming, September 1945. Fresh off the carrier that brought him stateside in 1945, Uncle Doyle spent his only night in Baltimore down on the block, knocking back bourbon and cokes with a buck private named Roy from Kingsport, Tennessee. On the corner of Lombard and Charles, a peroxide blonde with a B-movie giggle and a sailor's cap promised to take him around the world for $10 cash. Doyle thought about it, then aloud how he'd seen too damn much of the world already, counted out $1.50 in change, and told her, just drop him off in Macon. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, the inimitable Barbara Goldberg. Thank you.
This is going to have to be midget-wise. Thank you. I'm going to read something from the Hebrew, and I was thinking as I heard Vietnamese and Chinese, Hebrew ain't like that. It's got a lot of ha, ha, ha. I guess German is the most similar. And Roman, this poem is for you because it is 2 lines. I'm going to read the Hebrew first. And it's called Aroma. Kafe shel boker haviv alai kenafshi, ve'ahavati otach hi ha'aroma shel she'erit chayi. Az ahuva sheli, boy, nishte kafe baboker beyachad. And the translation Roman will give. Aroma. There's nothing I like better than morning coffee, and my love for you is the aroma of the rest of my life. So, love of mine, let's sip morning coffee together. And it's by Moshe Dor.
You know, the world is watching on through Facebook Live at the moment. So, hello world. now I'd like to introduce Mike Trandock. Mike Trandock, are you here? Or then let me go to Trung Phan. No? Okay, then we're going to move to the next, who is also a colleague on the board and a wonderful translator and friend, Keith Cohen. He'll be reading in French and English, I believe. Here's Keith coming down the stairs. All right.
Hello, everyone. My language is French that I translate from, and I'm going to be translating from a poem from one of my favorite poets, Paul Éluard, who was a poet who lived roughly from 1895 to 1952. He was one of the founders of the Surrealist movement, and he was also active during the Second World War as a resistance fighter. He met, at a very young age, a Russian woman whom he nicknamed Gaia, and perhaps this poem called The Lover is dedicated to her, or he had her in mind when he wrote it. So I'll read it first in French, and then I'll read it in English. L'amoureuse. Elle est debout sur mes paupières, et ses cheveux sont dans les miens. Elle a la forme de mes mains. Elle a la couleur de mes yeux. Elle s'engloutit dans mon ombre comme une pierre sur le ciel. Elle a toujours les yeux ouverts et ne laisse pas dormir. Ses rêves en pleine lumière font s'évaporer les soleils, me font rire, pleurer et rire, parler sans avoir rien à dire. She is standing on my eyelids, and her hair is in mine. Her hands take my form. Her eyes are the color of mine. She gets swallowed up in my shadow, like a stone against the sky. Her eyes are always open and don't let me sleep. Her broad daylight dreams make suns evaporate, make me laugh, cry, and laugh, speak, having nothing to say.
speak having nothing to say. That's it. I contradict myself. That's wonderful. Now we're going to hear from German and English from Bob Smarek. Bob, are you here? Okay, great. Welcome.
Hello, how are you? So this actually, I was reading a poet named Joseph Stroud, and he has a poem called Die Schwermut, which he translates as despair, and it's rather short, but it's in Trakel, it's always evening and autumn, blue silence, the dark shapes of shepherds, angels, a lunar voice of the sister, and the final gold of fallen stars. It is world's end, a synesthesia of childhood and melancholy, a vision which could not manage the agony of the wounded soldier who put a pistol to his head and pulled the trigger. And so that led me to looking for Trakel's poem, Die Schwermut, and, excuse me a second. I apologize, my German is decades out of practice, but gewaltig bist du, dunkler Mund, im Innern, aus Herbstgewolk, geformte Gestalt, goldener Abendstille, ein grünlich dämmernden Bergstrom in zerbrochner Föhren, Schattenbezirk, ein Dorf, das fromm in braunen Bildern abstirbt. Da springen die schwarzen Pferde auf nebliger Weide. Ihr Soldaten, vom Hügel, wo sterben die Sonne rollt, stürzt das lachende Blut, unter Eichen sprachlos. O grollende Schwermut des Heers, ein strahlender Helm, sank klirrend von purpurner Stirne. Herbstesnacht, so kühle kommt, glänzt mit Sternen über zerbrochenem Männergebein, die stille München. And I found a translation. I did not do the translation, but this is by Robert Bly and or James Wright. And they titled it The Mood of Depression. So I've seen melancholy, despair, depression, but you get the idea. You dark mouth inside me, you are strong, shape composed of autumn cloud and golden evening stillness. In the shadows thrown by the broken pine trees, a mountain stream turns dark in the green light. A little town that piously dies away into brown pictures. Now the black horses rear in the foggy pasture. I think of soldiers. Down the hill where the dying sun lumbers, the laughing blood plunges, speechless under the oak trees. Oh, the hopeless depression of an army. A blazing steel helmet fell with a clatter from the purpled foreheads. The autumn night comes down so coolly, with her white habit glittering like the stars over the broken human bodies. The convent nurse is silent. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bob. And now we're going to hear, if I may invite Alison Lima and the Spanish language to the stage, and with Kalani Ekanaika. And I recognize that Ekanaika. And when you, Unun, I'm sorry I don't have a name right at hand. So we're going to, will you introduce yourself, Unun? Come, welcome. Bienvenidos.
Just a little introduction. First of all, thank you, DC Alt. translators. And thank you to my two students. They're not in the class this term. But can you imagine having two students who say, could we have a Spanish reading club? Looks like a dream come true, right? Okay, so here they are, and they volunteered to come and do the reading. It's a kind of a historic moment for this poem. I happened to get it because of a poet I translate for, Mario Castro. You may have heard of him. He's Salvadoran. He started out as a writer. He started out as an artist and became a writer, changed to writing during the Salvadoran Civil War. And you probably know it was very devastating. Much of the country was completely devastated. When you go now, you see signs for silence all over. You're basically walking on sacred ground. Okay, so he wrote a novel, okay, called Disparo en la Catedral, a shot in the cathedral. So you can get the English version too. And when he published this book, it basically tells you about, it's a narrative about what happened during the Civil War. And it culminated with the Disparo en la Catedral, the shot in the cathedral, where Monsignor Romero, who was, he said, voz de los sin voz. He was the voice of the ones without voice, basically the poorest and the ones who suffered the most. So he was speaking for them, giving Mass in the cathedral in San Salvador, and he was assassinated while giving Mass. And so this novel commemorates that, if I can use that word. The next thing is that Castro was not able to publish this, his novel in his own country. It was not accepted. It's like too much of that. Let's pretend like it didn't happen. Well, it has finally been published. It was denied publication up until 2016, which is kind of weird. Okay, they just said, oh, no, we don't want this sort of thing. Well, it's finally published, and he's distributing it free of charge to any group that wants it for schools and the universities. There have been theses written about this in English and so forth. So that's the background for this. The second part, which makes this poem, which was written some time ago, what makes it historic is Monsignor Romero is now going to be a saint. In Rome, they have decided that yes, this man stood for human rights, and he spoke out about it, and he's going to become San Romero. Okay, so when I told Castro that we're going to do a poem, he sent me this one and asked me to read it to the students so that they would know more, they would be more informed. The translation just happens to be by me, but I was surprised to get this, so we're going to do it. It's a difficult poem, or it's challenging in terms of the breathing, and I think part of that is that it was a very challenging time and very long and drawn out, so bear with us. We're going to take turns back and forth here, and that'll be the poem.
Would you be sure to use the microphone, please?
Oh, this one? Yeah, is that, okay, can you see me? Today a guy couldn't see me, I had to get out of his way. Okay, so we're going to go back and forth, and I'll read the English, and they will read the Spanish. Okay?
Por desafiar a tiranos y defender a los pobres, murió Monseñor Romero.
For defying tyrants and defending the poor, Monsignor Romero died.
Pensaron que ausente no predicaría más su evangelio, pero su voz permanece latente en el corazón de su pueblo.
They thought that once gone, he could no longer speak his truth, but his voice stays alive in the hearts of the people.
La lleva y la trae la lluvia, la eleva y la silba el viento, vuela con más luz aún, con más vigor y estertor.
The rain brings it, the wind carries it, whistling in the air. It soars now, more brilliant than ever, rasps with even greater vigor.
Porque la impulsa la y la proclama, la verdad, el heroísmo, la belleza y el humanismo de su pensamiento.
Because it manifests and is proclaimed by truth and heroism, the powerful hope and humanism of his thought.
Así es que, señoras y señores,
Políticos del bien y del mal,
intervencionistas del norte y del sur,
terrateniente y desterrando,
muchacha de alcurnia y de mercado,
niño de bien y de orgullo.
And so it is that, ladies and gentlemen, politicians for good and for bad, interventionists from the north and south, landowner and outcast, heiress and market girl, children privileged and destitute,
hermano lejano y cercano,
Monseñor no ha
ha
muerto, porque su espíritu está grabado
en calles, ventanas y muros,
en el sudor de arado,
en el cartón de las champas,
en los carcos de dugurios.
brother far and near, Monsignor has not died, because his spirit is engraved in streets, windows, and walls, in the sweat of the plowed earth, in the cardboard of the huts, in the mud holes of the shanties.
porque su luz es infinita, porque aún desde su tumba nos habla incansablemente de paz, de justicia y amor.
Because his light is infinite, because even from his tomb he speaks to us ceaselessly of peace, of justice, of love.
Thank you, muchas gracias. Okay. Y ahora is now, maintenant, we're going to hear from Ken Freeland. Freeland? Ken? Welcome. And this is Ken coming down the stairs. That's the refrain of the evening. Okay. All right.
It's a rather short poem. The poet has his work cut out. It's enough to make the poet jump and shout. For with each birthday, the poet is assigned a brand new age. Some people react to these circumstances with a sense of rage. Some people experience major frustration as they encounter each new situation. I must admit that there is not much more left for me to say, so that evens up the score. When I try to count the things which I can say, we might see the blue skies becoming somewhat gray. We want to choose the statements which we are going to make as we decide which chances we're going to take. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ken, and for those rhymes and the chances we're going to take. Well, I'm going to introduce you now to a founder member of DC Alt, poet, translator, and friend Yvette Neisser.
Humankind. Let's see. Okay. Hello, everybody. Happy almost International Translation Day. I am happy to be with you. I helped conceive this event for the first time, was it 4 or 5 years ago? We're not sure. Well, some say 4, some say 5. Carol says 4. Okay. We did? Okay. Anyway, so it's wonderful to see how many of you come out to share in the love of languages and poetry and translation. So, the poet who I translate mostly and am very much in love with, she's a Venezuelan poet. Her name is Maria Teresa Ogliastri. She's not terribly well known outside of Venezuela. This is a relatively recent poem that she wrote. I'm sure most of you follow events. You know that life in Venezuela for the last couple of years has been very tragic. The country's kind of a mess, and there's an economic crisis, and there's not enough food. So this poem is called Rationing. So I'll read you the Spanish and then the translation. Racionamiento. En la fila una mujer grita, llegó harina. Pienso en panecillos horneados. Poco después oigo, solo queda arroz. Pero mi alegría es vana. Van a sacar azúcar, oh milagro, esperaré. Escucho las palabras en rebote, se acabó el azúcar. La cola comienza a deshacerse. Persisto. Algo van a sacar más tarde. Al final una mano me entrega un pollo. Salgo de allí con mi tesoro. En una librería cercana, un amigo se atreve a leerme un poema largo. El poeta no sabe por qué me despido. Lo prosaico de mi huida me hace sentir culpable. Hay que vivir en un país con hambre para entender cómo se puede romper la simetría de un poema por un ligero goteo de vísceras y sangre. Rationing. In the line, a woman shouts, "There's flour." I think of warm biscuits. Soon I hear only rice is left, but my happiness is futile. They're bringing sugar. Oh, a miracle. I will wait. Then I hear words ricochet. The sugar is gone. The line begins to disperse. I persist. Eventually, they will bring something. Finally, a hand offers me a chicken. I leave with my treasure. In a bookstore nearby, a friend has the nerve to read me a long poem. The poet doesn't know why I flee. Such an ordinary goodbye fills me with guilt. You must live in a country with hunger to understand how a poem's symmetry can be broken by the slow drip of guts and blood.
Thank you, Yvette. That's a powerful poem and beautifully translated. Let's now hear from an ancient language called Greek, and Albert. Albert, are you here? Welcome. And you'll have to tell me how to say you're coming down the stairs in Greek.
I will, actually.
Okay, all right.
That's very appropriate. The ancient really is that this weekend is the 35th reunion of my college class, and my friend was supposed to be here. I should have known that he would go straight to the reunion and not come, so I picked something for him because that first September 35 years ago, I'd heard about this college with no grades and no textbooks, and that you only did the original languages, and that included math and everything else, and you went all the way from the ancient Greeks to present day. So that first class, we had to translate this line from Heraclitus. I don't read it any better than I did in 1979. But if he were here, I thought I would do that line because I found out at my 30th reunion, he told me that he just flew in from Salt Lake, but he went straight to it. He said he was coming here. That the rest of the class had this workbook with all the answers so that they could party every night. Whereas I was in my dorm 6 hours every night, translating like crazy. So it was this line from Heraclitus, which I can't read any better than I did then. Odos, ano, kato, mio, kai, ute. And what did you ask me about the going down the stairs and up? Well, oddly enough, the translation of that is, the way up and the way down are the same.
Now it reminds me of Ezra Pound, whittling down 26 lines into 2 in a station of the metro. Very brief, but unforgettable presentation. Thank you, Albert. And now I'd like to invite a colleague in many senses, as a diplomat, as a fellow board member, a fellow lover of the language, the French language, and many and other felicities. Carol Volk. Thank you. Elle va descendre maintenant sur l'escalier.
Thanks everyone for coming out. So I wanted to read, I realize I think I'm the only one who's not reading poetry. I wanted to read a chapter from a book that I translated from the French. It's called Ingratitude, and it's written by a French-Canadian Chinese woman. So it's actually in the spirit of translating Southern English to Northeastern English. It comes through it travels through many dialects and languages. Also, when I translated the book, it was before the book Tiger Mom came out, but I realized it's about, the story is about a girl who basically commits suicide at the very beginning of the book to spite her mother. Then it goes on in the after the first chapter to kind of relive what led up to her decision to do this. But it strikes me that it's kind of a bit of a Tiger Mom situation, and not knowing, knowing French but not knowing China, I was kind of at a disadvantage in translating it. But it's the way it goes. They throw my body onto a rolling cot in the middle of a white windowless room. Their movements are brusque. They call me a criminal. When mother's not around, they make no secret of their disgust. They tend to respect the dead more than the living. By becoming less human, and especially less fragile, overnight the dead can seem more intelligent, more talented, more virtuous, and therefore of greater worth. But in my case, it's different. My death is a disgrace beyond measure because I condemned myself to it. I carried out my own sentence. They're angry with me for not loving them enough, for fleeing their cherished living realm. They will not chisel my name on a stone as they do for the rest. On the contrary, they are eager to wipe me off the face of the earth. But there are plenty of other bodies to burn. On the way to the void, just like anywhere else, you have to get in line, remember that patience is a virtue, wait with a bemused smile. While I wait, a spider expands its territory on the ceiling and people come to visit me. Along with the scent of incense, heartfelt sobs and strange stammering voices rise up. Still so pretty, and so young. But what ideas. They say she left a strange letter. Did you know that? Her poor mother. It seems then that they went so far as to dig through the trash at the Happiness Cafe, and that mother may have been lucky enough to read my letter. But isn't all this nonsense? In reality, a letter won't have any effect on her. Her brain admits no guilt. My death alone is enough to prove that she's innocent, and I am more of an ingrate than ever. I crossed a line forbidden to the young. Mother doesn't want to know about death, just as she didn't want to know about the men I liked. To die young is to violate the divine law. It's more immoral than showing your legs. Stay with us a little longer, please, grandmother says to me. We can't stand for you to bury your soul's torments in this endless silence. You must speak. Criticize your mother, your poor mother, if you like. Criticize everyone. Insult me all you want. But speak. Lay your grief on our heads. You'll have an easier journey that way, and for us, it's the only consolation. She then rests a hand on Mother's shoulder. By some miracle, Mother doesn't move. She tolerates this enemy hand. I would have preferred to go in her place, murmurs grandmother, to go before her. Mother stops crying. She considers this for a moment, then nods in agreement. I see her lips moving. Though I can hardly hear, I can guess her words. Yes, mother-in-law, you are rarely right, but on this point I agree with you. You should have gone before her. I take a deep breath and hold it to give myself weight. I dive down. I want to get closer to Mother. I too would like to place a hand on her inaccessible shoulder, but the smoke keeps pushing me back. On the border between life and death, this smoke stands between us like a guard at his post. The smell of the incense suffocates me. The smoke blinds me. I realize what I have done. I'm in exile. It's impossible for me to return, even for an instant, with the honest intention of touching Mother's shoulder one last time. Already she is far, far away, imprisoned in this bare room, leaning over my body and trying to recognize it, a body she never recognized before.
And now let's turn to Persia, to Iran. Farah, are you here? Thank you. Welcome.
Hello, everybody. I'm reading a poem from an Iranian young man whom I follow in the social media. He writes a lot of love songs or love letters or love poems. And I'm going to read his Farsi poem first, and then I have a literary translation, and then I have a more with rhyme translation. So you tell me which one you like. So the first one first. The first Farsi first. نمیتوانم بگویم چقدر زیبایی، اما میتوانم بگریم. نمیتوانم تنت را بغل کنم، اما میتوانم که روزهای بیشمار در تاریکی اتاق بنشینم و خیالت کنم. نمیتوانم از مردی که عاشقش شده ای بگیرمت، اما میتوانم خودم را شبانه به سیسنگان برسانم و در کمترین فاصله از جنگل و دریا مست کنم. میتوانم شعر بنویسم، ساز بزنم، برای کسانم آهنگ بفرستم. میتوانم بدرخشم، اما تو نمیبینی و این طلسم من است. So that was in Farsi. Now the word for word, almost literal translation is, I can't tell how beautiful you are. Weeping, I can. I can't hold you tight in the darkness of my room. Envisage, I can. I can't take you away from the man you fell in love with. Getting drunk between the sea and the trees in the darkness of the night, I can. I can write, so can I play the music. I can share my music, so can I shine. In my loneliness, you won't see me nonetheless. Bewitched I am. Did I say that? So that was word for word. Now, I tried to come up with some rhyme, and then I realized it's like the children's poem, but I have to read it. Beautiful you are, I can't tell. Weeping, however, yes, I can. Holding you tight, no, I can't. Envisage, however, yes, I can. Holding you out of that man, oh, no, that I can't. Darkened jungle or the sea, oh, yes, only with amethyst. Lonely, dark, and fully drunk, right by jungle or the run. Writing music, yes, I can. Playing music, yes, I can. Sharing music, yes, I can. Shine in the dark, no, I can't. Lonely, lonely, nonetheless, bewitched I am. Did I say? Thank you.
Well done. Shall we take a vote? Which did you prefer? The rhyming or the literal? Both? Okay. Well, I have a soft spot for the rhyming one, actually. But that's just my... Beautiful. Thank you. Now we're going to hear, and I think this camera is running out of juice, so you'll have to read quickly so I can capture. Ashira Mala or Maya? Just Ashira, you're on stage. And the language is Hebrew and English. Welcome.
Yeah, I kind of brought my friend's poems by mistake, so I don't really have the whole poem of this or the translation. I was trying to get out to my car, but I didn't make it. Let's see if I had it there, because basically I chose this because I had it. I made this a few years ago, never used it, never finished it, thought I should bring it. And I'm out of breath just from getting chocolate. Thank you, whoever brought the chocolate. Yay! Thank you, Yvette. Okay, so I did want to do something that's not in Hebrew, but because it's a holiday, a Jewish holiday, I thought I should do something in Hebrew, so I'm doing something in Hebrew. That's the other reason. And this is something just very cheerful. Let's see what it's called. Ech lemale tofes, she'ela al shem. That is how to fill out a form. Question of a name. I'm never going to the bathroom again. One of these things. Anyway. And this is about my name, because every time when I would be in Israel having to fill out a form, I'd get very upset. And so this is my this is my poem about filling out forms and hating doing it, and why. Because, here we say last name, and there they say family name. Mishpachti, that's family. Mishpacha is family, mishpachti is like of the family. Li en shem mishpachti, yesh li shem rishon v'shem sheni, shem prati v'yoter prati, shem sheli v'rak sheli. So, me, I don't have name. I don't have a family name. I have a first name, and a second name, a private name, and a more private name, a name that's mine and only mine. Thank you. And in the real lengthy poem, I go on to explain stuff about my grandmother and how I got my name, the one who perished, as they say, in the Holocaust. Now I have something else, because I can do it, because I don't have my full thing. Where did it go? I have a song. Let's see. It's called Tagidi, that's tell me, or say it, something like that. איך אני אדע מה את חושבת אם לא תגידי לי, אם לא תגידי לי. איך אני אדע מה את חושבת אם לא תגידי לי, אם לא תגידי לי. מה את מרגישה את חייבת להוציא אם את רוצה להיות החברה שלי. מה את מרגישה את חייבת להוציא אם את רוצה להיות החברה שלי. איך אני יודע מה את עוברת אם לא תגידי לי, אם לא תגידי לי. איך אני יודע מה את חושבת אם לא תגידי לי, אם לא תגידי לי. מה את מרגישה את חייבת להוציא אם את רוצה להישאר חברות איתי. מה את מרגישה את חייבת להוציא אם את רוצה להישאר חברות איתי. So that means Tell me, how will I know what you're thinking if you don't tell me? If you don't tell me, how will I know what you're going through if you don't tell me? If you don't tell me, what you're feeling, you must get out if you want to be my friend. How will I know what you're going through if you don't tell me? If you don't tell me, how will I know what you're thinking if you don't tell me? If you don't tell me what you're feeling, you must get out if you want to stay friends with me. Yeah. Thank you. תודה.
I'm Gonzalo Gilardi in Magdan Salaveri. You're going to read okay, come in. Welcome. Bienvenido.
Hi. I'm all excited because I want to thank Mark for inviting me this week to participate in this very interesting event. I frankly didn't know that it happened, but now I know, so I can repeat, if possible. I am Peruvian, and as Peruvian, I culturally have much to share, but tonight I want to share with you one of what I feel is the most interesting black Peruvian, culturally speaking. His name is Nicomedes Santa Cruz. Nicomedes Santa Cruz, without a doubt, the most important black intellectual in 20th century Peru, and one of the most important in Latin America. Yet his life, work, and legacy remain relatively unknown, except within academic circles and among Afro-Peruvian organizations. Between the late 1950s and 1992, the year of his death, he was a restless and passionate cultural entrepreneur, folklorist, poet, and playwright. He was in fact one of the most active intellectuals in Peru. He published about 10 books in various genres, essays, short stories, and especially poetry. Hundreds of pieces in newspapers and magazines, and dozens of academic articles on different aspects of Black history, culture, poetry, oral traditions, music, and religion. He also recorded a dozen albums that sold thousands of copies, directed radio and TV programs, as well as represented Peru in various international conferences. But even more remarkable is the fact that Nicomedes Santa Cruz was a self-taught intellectual who never went to college and only completed elementary school. He was born in 1925 in a modest family that valued and practiced hard work and intellectual effort, but also preserved and cherished popular and Afro-Peruvian traditions. Three major themes informed the work of Nicomedes Santa Cruz from the mid-1950s through the early 1999s. A celebration of the importance and value of Black culture, history, and traditions. The need to fight against racism and discrimination, and his commitment to social justice and anti-imperialism. He was the first Black intellectual to merge in his work and efforts an agenda for social justice with a deep preoccupation to fight against Black people's invisibility and oppression. The struggle against racism would remain at the center of his political and intellectual preoccupations for the rest of his life. According to his account, he first became aware of racism when he fell in love with a girl and wanted to marry her, but his family did not agree. My family did not accept my marriage with her for the usual reasons, alleging that we have to improve the race. Later, he also realized that black historical figures were being silenced or did not appear in the standard historical and literary accounts. Blacks were in fact invisible. All of this, stated Nicomedes in an interview, generated hatred in me against these silences, and later I became conscientious of the task I had to fulfill, which may be accomplished using poetry as denunciation. He wrote indeed many poems that denounced racism. In an early piece entitled De Ser Como Yo, of Being Like I Am, 1949, he wrote, I am pleased to be what I am. It is ignorant who criticizes that my color is black. That doesn't hurt anybody. To be born of any color, that doesn't hurt anybody. In another poem, Oiga usted, señor doctor, Listen, Mr. Doctor, of 1961, he wrote, Listen, mister, I don't forgive you the insult. We poor people of my color know of dignity and with honor. He also wrote several articles written in newspapers and magazines over the years addressing racism. And he was also critical of black Peruvians. So it was not just standing towards the discrimination that could be seen between different races within Peru, because Peru is populated and we have, from all over the world. In 1980, Nicomedes decided to leave Peru and settled in Spain with his wife, who was Spanish. There he finished one of the most important works, La Décima en el Perú, a superb study and anthology of the genre that was published in Lima in 1982. A décima, for those that don't know, is a 10-line stanza of Spanish origin that became very popular in Spanish America. And it's still practiced in countries such as Puerto Rico, Peru, Colombia, where it has become a genre associated with popular poets and troubadours. That same year, 1982, he began to direct with great success a cultural program for the Spanish International Public Radio Station. And in 1988, he was diagnosed with lung cancer and underwent surgery, seemingly with good results. But unfortunately, on February the 5th of 1992, he passed away at age 66. It was a great loss for Peruvian black representation by all means. I want to read a very short poem in Spanish and in English that I translated to the English. It's really interesting. The title is La Noche, which in English is The Night. And it's a relationship of him being black and getting in touch with the night. So here it goes in Spanish. La Noche was written in 1959. En esas 12 horas que somos la espalda del mundo, en aquel diario eclipse, eclipse de pueblos, eclipse de montes y páramos, eclipse de humanos, eclipse de mar, el negro le tiñe a la tierra mitad de la cara, por más que se ponga luz artificial. Negrura de sombra, sombra de negrura, que a nadie le asombra y a todo perdura. Obscura la España y clara Japón, oscura Caracas y claro Cantón. Y siempre girando hacia el este, aquí está tiznando y ahí está celeste. Esa sombra inmensa, esa sombra eterna, que tuvo comienzo al comienzo del comienzo, rotativo eclipse, eclipse total, pido a los humanos un solemne rito que es horizontal. Y cada 12 horas que llega, me alegro, porque medio mundo se tiñe de negro y en ello no cabe distingo racial. That's the Spanish version. The night in English, which I tried to translate as close as possible, goes like this. In those 12 hours that we are the back of the world, in that daily eclipse of peoples, eclipse of mountains and moors, eclipse of humans, eclipse of the sea, the black dyes the earth half of its face, no matter how artificial light is placed. Shadow of blackness that nobody astonishes and everything endures. Dark Spain and clear Japan, dark Caracas and clean Canton, and always turning east, here's smudging, there is celestial. That immense shadow, that eternal shadow that started at the beginning of the beginning, rotating eclipse, total eclipse, asks the humans a solemn rite, which is horizontal. And every 12 hours it arrives, I'm happy because half of the world is dyed black, and in this there is no racial distinction. Thank you.
Muchas gracias. Okay. We're going to continue with the Spanish language and invite Alejandra Franks to come to the stage. Alejandra, welcome. Bienvenida. Does anybody have an iPhone charger by any chance that you can lend me? Oh, you do? Okay.
Hi. This is a poem of mine, which I hope someday to publish in a future publication. I'm gonna read the Spanish first and then the English translation, because I think that's the way it goes, right? It's titled Marcas de Nacimiento. 1. Mi hermano llamó el otro día. Preguntó si yo tenía un lunar debajo de mi brazo, como él creía recordarlo. Recién notaba uno en el de su hija, que podría ser igual al mío. 2. El otro día vi una foto de mi tío, a quien se le ve mucho más delgado de lo que yo lo recordaba. Se parece mucho a su padre, dijo mamá mientras yo pensaba en voz alta. 3. Una prima de mamá falleció ayer. Probablemente la entierren. Todos ellos eran católicos practicantes. Seguirá viviendo en nuestros recuerdos, pues todos los recuerdos sobreviven, incluso los más sombríos, sin importar cuánto intentemos enterrarlos, también 3 metros bajo tierra o más. 4. Pronto espero recibir los resultados de mi ADN. Probablemente revelen mis ancestros judíos, aunque mi abuelo biológico nunca estuviera allí para decirme que él lo era. 5. Mi papá y mi hermano ya no se hablan. Probablemente lamenten algún día todo lo que se han callado. So here's the English. Birthmarks. 1. My brother called the other day, asked if I had a birthmark under my arm, as he thinks he remembers it. He noticed one on his daughters that might be just like mine. 2. I saw a picture of my uncle the other day. He looks much skinnier than I remember. He looks just like your father, like his father, Mom said, as I voiced my thought. 3. My mom's cousin died yesterday. She'll probably be buried. They were all practicing Catholics. Her memories will survive, as all memories do, even the dark ones, no matter how hard we try, to bury those 2, 6 feet under or more. 4. I expect my DNA results soon. They will probably reveal my Jewish ancestry, although my biological grandpa was never there to let me know he was one. 5, my father and brother do not speak to each other anymore. They'll probably regret one day everything that's gone unsaid. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Muchas gracias, Alejandra. I'm going to invite now Alison Lima to come back to the stage. Alison, ¿quieres leer algo de tus traducciones? ¿Perdón? Sí? Okay. And is there anyone I have forgotten? Okay. Your name is? Okay, you're signed up here? On the back. Okay, sorry. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay, please. Ah, yes. Thank you.
Okay, this is kind of a cheater poem. Think about Albert, and his college days. Well, in college is when I first met Garcia Lorca through his poetry. And it really sort of haunted me, and now many years later, I didn't realize that it was still his voice in my head. And I wrote a poem called Oración de la Luna. In my poem, you're going to hear the lines, huye, huye, luna, luna. So huye is to run away. And in Garcia Lorca's poem, the line is, huye, luna, luna, luna. Well, somehow that sound got in my head, and I didn't realize that I'd stolen it. And so after I wrote my poem, I went back, oh, that sounds familiar. I better go find out. So sure enough, it was from Federico Garcia Lorca during the Spanish Civil War, and I thought, well, okay, he did a really good job because it stuck. But thinking about another Civil War and another artist, Mario Bencastro, whose work I introduced just a few moments ago, I thought about what it took for him to write the novel, to be able to reflect back on all of the massacre and all of the violence in his country, and be able to make art out of it, to make a beautiful thing out of it. And he did change from being an artist, a visual artist, to a writer. So I was thinking about what that would be like to have everything change. Okay, so artista, desterrado, sin colores, sin pincel, vidas borradas en pleno sol, han sido cegadas por una gris soledad. Huye, huye, luna, luna, no arriesgues tu dulce luz. Han sacado todo lo bello y en el cielo te casarán. Artista, testigo del caos, ejército de niños medio enterados, pueblo en llamas de llantos callados, sueños de polvo y de nada. Luna, luna, ten cuidado, escóndete en el mar, no nos mires esta noche para no entristecerte. Murmullos del volcán, erupciones de magma y de furia, un Pompey de los sentidos, enterrados por terror. Manta de lodo y de lágrimas, noches dolorosos sin amor, ni las estrellas se atrevan a brillar. Huye, huye, luna, luna, no arriesgues tu fulgor. Han sacado todo lo bello y en el cielo te casarán. Dile al cometa que nos haga una señal. Los ladrones de la tierra se asombrarán y el corazón al pueblo nos devolverán. Artista, de cenizas sale fénix, de la tierra el amor. En el lienzo de las arenas, con los huesos, pinta poemas, y la mar los mecerá. Okay, translation. Artist, exiled, without colors, without brush. Lives wiped out in broad daylight have been blinded by gray solitude. Run away, luminous moon. Don't risk your sweet light. They have stolen all the beauty, and in the sky they'll hunt you down. Artist, witness to chaos, army of children half buried, town in flames of silent screams, dreams of dust and of nothing. Luminous moon, be careful. Hide yourself in the sea. Don't look down on us tonight, to not be filled with sadness. Murmurs in the volcano, eruptions of magma and fury, a Pompeii of the senses, buried by terror. Blanket of mud and tears, dolorous nights without love. Not even the stars dare to shine. Run away, luminous moon. Don't risk your dazzling light. They have stolen all the beauty, and in the sky they'll hunt you down. Tell the comet to give us a sign. The thieves of the earth will be astonished, and the heart of the people will be returned. Artist, from ashes the phoenix rises, and from the earth, love. On the canvas of the sands, with the bones, paint poems, and the sea will gently rock them.
We're going to turn the page. and I'll be the page turner. So I'll recite a poem of mine just as a segue. And then I just want to be sure I have these names correctly. Joanne Gurney? Groundy. Okay. So after my little poem, we'll go to Joanne and then to Eileen Miller, Alice Miller, and David Martin. And David will close the open. Because of the phone being charging, I wanted to read a translation I did of a poet, Susan Case, into Spanish, and read her English, but I can't do that, so I'll just recite something. Let's see. This poem, it's not exactly a translation, but it has to do with language, or the loss of a language. It's called You Must Love. You must love the land when you leave to build your house on the sea. Love what's lost, the mango tree burning in the garden, the curious noose of the familiar coat of arms. Love the ball turning strong, spinning in a dark, faraway land. Love the tongue you'll never again speak, that wrapped you and bled you and dried up some every day on the other side of the sea. And in my case, the language, the tongue that disappeared is called Tamil. So now, Joanne, welcome.
My language for translation is Romanian, and the occasion which has gotten me, I shouldn't say knowing that language, but working with the language was teaching English to middle school students in a city in Romania around the year 2000. And one of the people I worked with was a young man who taught English at that general school, and his favorite poet was the Romanian poet George Bacovia. And so he persuaded me, and I quite enjoyed doing it, to translate some of Bacovia, and we have a volume which is Plum de Iarnă, or Lead of Winter. Now, I told Doru that I thought he liked Bacovia because he was so gloomy. Boccovia was born in 1889 and died in 1957, so he's not a modern poet, rather a symbolist poet. I'm going to read 3 small samples of his poetry, well, of the translation. If you're interested in seeing the original, I have it across the page and we'll show it to you. This first one is called High School. High school, graveyard of my youth. Pedantic teachers, impossible exams, you frighten me still. High school, graveyard of my youth. High school, graveyard with long corridors. Though I've changed, my mind hurts. I want nothing. High school, graveyard with long corridors. High school, graveyard of my youth. You threw me to the world, jaded. Threw me to a hard life. High school, graveyard of my youth. This one is entitled Ego. So silent, so alone in my senseless world, so overwhelmed with a tough misanthropy. Everything I write, my love, shows perfectly the same lack of interest in others and in you. And this one is my favorite of the 3. It's called Shoes. Gold shop window shoes. You will spend your days beneath lace dresses, your nights in the indolent waves of the waltz. Floodlit ballrooms will hold your laughter. You will dress the icy feet of the sainted queen, sad in her coffin. In time, a grave will destroy you. Golden shop window shoes. So, George Boccovia, thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Alice Miller. Gracias.
Yeah, so I'm going to conscript Yvette. We just sort of re-met each other. I was at the conference last year because my brother is Mark Miller, and so, and he's much, much older than I am, so just to clarify that. But I was in Yvette's wonderful translation workshop, and so we sort of recognized each other, and then I said, well, I didn't realize that this was an open mic, and so when Mark said, are you going to read something? I thought, what am I going to read? So I wanted to pick something by Neruda, but given that there are native Spanish speakers and much better Spanish speakers in the room, I felt very self-conscious about reading the Spanish version of this poem. So I have turned to the lovely Yvette. Can you see on that side?
Oh, I should get my glasses. I have the same glasses. We're
You do?
twins. Yeah.
You want to borrow mine?
Yeah.
You
Well,
can
I don't
wear
know, but yours are probably a different number than mine.
What number are yours?
1.25.
That's pretty much what those are. What do you know?
Look at that.
So before Yvette reads, I just want to say that Neruda, who's one of, the great Chilean poet, wrote a whole bunch of odes about very ordinary things, like a pair of socks. And he didn't try to elevate these things in any way. He simply found sort of this ecstatic appreciation in very ordinary things and making them extraordinary in that way. So this is Ode to an Onion. And I've been cutting a lot of onions lately because I've been making a lot of Ethiopian stew, lentil stew, which is really good. So I thought Ode to an Onion would be a nice way to sort of brighten our day. Yes.
Okay. Disclaimer, I'm also not a native Spanish speaker. But Neruda is one of my favorite poets of all time. So, Cebolla, luminosa redoma, pétalo a pétalo se formó tu hermosura. escamas de cristal ya crecenciaron. En el secreto de la tierra oscura se redondeó tu vientre de rocío. Bajo la tierra fue el milagro, y cuando apareció tu torpe tallo verde y nacieron tus hojas como espadas en el huerto, la tierra acumuló su poderío, mostrando tu desnuda transparencia, y como una Afrodita del mar remoto, duplicó la magnolia, levantando sus senos. La tierra así te hizo, cebolla, clara como un planeta y destinada a relucir, constelación constante, redonda rosa de agua sobre la mesa de las pobres gentes. Nos hiciste llorar sin afligirnos. Yo cuánto existe y celebré, cebolla, pero para mí eres más hermosa que un ave de plumas cegadoras. Eres para mis ojos globo celeste, copa de platino, baile inmóvil de anémona nevada, y vive la fragancia de la tierra en tu naturaleza cristalina.
Thank you so much. I'll take my glasses back, please. Don't try to walk away with these. I see what you're up to. Okay, thank you so much. So it's kind of weird reading from a cell phone, but onion, luminous flask, your beauty formed petal by petal. Crystal scales expanded you, and in the secrecy of the dark earth, your belly grew round with dew. Under the earth, this miracle happened, and when your clumsy green stem appeared, and your leaves were born like swords in the garden, the earth heaped up her power, showing your naked transparency. And as the remote sea, in lifting the breasts of Aphrodite, duplicating the magnolia, so did the earth make you, onion, clear as a planet and destined to shine. Constant constellation, round rows of water upon the table of the poor. You make us cry without hurting us. I have praised everything that exists, but to me, onion, you are more beautiful than a bird of dazzling feathers, heavenly globe, platinum goblet, unmoving dance of the snowy anemone, and the fragrance of the earth lives in your crystalline nature. And that translation is by Stephen Mitchell. Thank you.
Well, last and of course not least, and thank you so much to everyone here. Without a listener, there is no poem. Without a without a poem, there is no poet, etc., etc. I invite you all to sign up on the mailing list for DC Alt. Please don't leave without leaving us your John Hancock or your Juanita Hancock or whatever, however you wish to proceed. And also, Carol, yes? Okay. And so let me now introduce David Martin. David? Welcome.
Hi, folks. Great to see so many people here. Thanks for the idea of this, and thanks for the actuality of it, and the organizing and everyone who put in whatever, the sweat. I'm going to read just 2 couplets from Attar first, and then I'm going to read a short poem by Hafez. Short poem, huh? But I wanted to read from Attar for this reading, and I can't do it. I don't have enough stuff together for it. But this is a preview of next year. Hope that I'm alive and that you're alive, that we all come. Huh? Okay. This is the climax of Mantikoter in Persian from Attar on 1200. And it's just almost like the end, Canto 33 of Dante's Paradiso. It is when the souls that have made their travel as birds to the kingbird, the sea mork, are absorbed in the sea mork. First, the sea mork invites them to come into him. And this is a long, long story to that. I'll do that next year. Okay? So this is just the poetry. Couplets, two couplets in Persian, and then my translation. Sea mork is the kingbird. But I'm going to do that next year. I don't want to take up too much time. Okay? The sea mork is the kingbird. The pun here in Persian, sea mork is the kingbird, and the birds that arrive to the sea mork of the kingbird after the 7 valleys, last one is Valley of Annihilation and Poverty, there are 30 birds that make it. 30 in Persian is sea, bird, mork. So 30 birds, sea, mork, make it to the sea mork. Okay, so, and they recognize themselves as each other. As if they were looking in a mirror, they see each other. Okay, and everyone is the same. Okay, but I don't have time to do all that. Okay, so here's the person. Mave ma gardid dar sad elzonaz, ta be ma dar hiç ra yabid baz. Mave u gashtand akhir bardavam, saye dar khorshid gum shod, wassalam. Translation is something like this. A little bit, okay. Seymour speaking. Come annihilate yourselves in me in glory's bliss, till you find yourselves again in me, all this. Nigh obliterate more in him at last they came. Shadow was lost in sun, 'twas rest and game. Now I'm going to turn to Hafez. Now I think Attar is a better poet than Hafez, and I think Maulana Rumi is a better poet than Hafez, but Persians consider Hafez to be the best. Now this is a very simple poem. Usually Hafez writes at 2 or 3 levels, and this is really basically only 1 level. But there are problems in the translation, besides the ultimate problem of translation, which is, I think, translating for cultures. It's not the language, it's the cultures that's the real problem. Okay, I'm going to try to do this slowly so I get everything here. There are 2, there's a lover speaking to his beloved. Now, the lover could be, depending on the speaker, could be male or female, right? It's I. Now, the beloved, in Persian, there's no gender differentiation, okay? So it could be he, she, or the divine. Huh? And you can choose, at any one time, it probably would be 2 of these. Now, the experts say that if more likely, if the man is the speaker, his beloved is going to be another man. Okay? I have translated the beloved saying she. Now, what we have here in it's anaphor. That is, each line begins the same. The lover speaks, goftam, I said. The beloved responds, and it could be she said, he said, the divine said. Goftar, okay? Now, the rhyme is ar, A-R. But there is a following rhyme, which in Persian is called the radif. So it's ar yad. In English, it'd be like a feminine rhyme, wearable, bearable. Okay? In which the last syllable is the same. Okay. Last 2 syllables. Okay, so the rhyme is in the 3rd syllable before the end. So, do I have everything? Yeah, Okay, so I've got two microphones here. I'm going to try this. This will help me slow down to respect to the poet and respect to you as an audience. See if I can do this right, because I tend to read too fast when I'm nervous. So I'm going to try to slow this down. Huh? I'm going to switch from one microphone to the other depending on the person speaking. Okay, it's called Lovers Dialogue. It's also a ghazal. A ghazal has it has an end rhyme. The end of the couplet always rhymes, but in the first two hemistiches, there is the same rhyme. There's the same rhyme, and you will notice that each hemistich is divided into two halves, like breath halves. They don't necessarily rhyme, but they're breath halves. So I'm going to break in it. Okay? So here we go. Where do I want to start? گفتم غم تو دارم گفتا غمت سرآید گفتم که ماه من شو گفتا اگر برآید گفتم ز مهرورزان رسم وفا بیاموز گفتا ز خوبرویان این کار کمتر آید گفتم که بر خیالت راه نظر ببندم گفتا که شب رواست او از راه دیگر آید گفتم که بوی زلفت گمراه عالم کرد گفتا اگر بدانی هم اوت رهبر آید گفتم خوشا هوایی که از باد صبح خیزد گفتا خنک نسیمی که از کوی دلبر آید گفتم که نوش لعلت ما را به آرزو کشت گفتا تو بندگی کن کو بنده پروار آید گفتم دل رحیمت کی از می صلح دارد گفتا مگویا با کس تا وقت آن درآید گفتم زمان عشرت دیدی که چون سرآید گفتا خاموش حافظ که این قصه هم سرآید. So in the last line, of course, he identifies himself. This is the signature line. Okay, here we go. English. I said, I love you so much it hurts. She said back, your pain will come to an end. I said, come and be my love and blaze in the night. She said, if the cards fall right. I said, why won't you be true like those whose love is true? That's not likely from true beauties, she replied. I said, I'll block the vision of you from worming its way in. She said, it fares by night, it'll find another way in. I said, your hair's fragrance made me stray far afield. She said, if you only knew, it could likewise be your guide. I said, how fine the air is that rides the morning wind. She said, how cool is the breeze where your love lives. That's the only line where they agree with each other. I said, I want to kiss your ruby lips so bad it's killing me. She said, learn to obey, for obedience provides for those who serve. I asked, when does your merciful heart mean to make peace? She said, Don't tell anyone till the time comes. I said, don't you see the good times roll to a stop? She says, hush, Hafez, this sorrow will also cease. See you next year.
And we have a special guest announcement that I was incorrect on the 3 readers there. We have one more. Delighted to announce and welcome Tanya Papani. Tanya? Where are you? Okay. Great.
Thank you. Wow. I feel so, I was the special guest. I didn't know. Okay. This event has been a much needed salve for a terrible week of politics. I'm going to read a bit of Russian from a contemporary Ukrainian fiction writer named Andrei Krasnyashych, and this is an essay that he wrote called «О сне во сне», which means «On the dream within a dream». Одно время мне постоянно из ночи в ночь на протяжении года снилось, что я просыпаюсь, но не по-настоящему, а как бы на полдороге. Я знаю, что сплю, ощущаю, что мне необходимо проснуться, потому что мне в сне угрожает нечто ужасное, а я в каком-то лабиринте и не могу укрыться от жути, и в общем ничего необычного. Все так и все. Но не могу, не знаю, как это сделать. All right, that's just one sentence, and I'll read like a paragraph. That's just one sentence, yeah. Did I bring the right thing? Yeah, okay. On the dream within a dream. There was a time when I regularly, each night for the duration of a year, dreamt that I was waking up, but not completely, more like halfway. I knew I was sleeping, I felt it, but not complete, I knew I was sleeping, I felt it, but I urgently needed to wake up. Something was threatening me in my sleep, something terrible, and I was in some sort of maze and couldn't escape the horror. In short, nothing unusual, like everyone's had. That's the first sentence that I read in Russian. But I didn't know how to get out of the dream. After trying and exhausting all means of escape, I don't even remember which methods, probably the supernatural, I finally came to understand that the way out was the same as the way in. I still hadn't read Burroughs by this point. I started to remember, in my dream of course, exactly how it was that I fell asleep, onto which side of my body I rolled onto, etc. Having restored the phases of falling asleep, I began digging myself out of the dream using the same route, but in reverse order. Turn over, pull my hand out from underneath the pillow, recall the lines of the book, but backward. Having retained no more than 3 or 4 lines of the text, my memory sieve, as Huxley calls the brain because of its sorting function, believed that while I was sleeping, I could remember everything verbatim I read the previous night, and moreover, that I could reinstate the reading of all the words and phrases in reverse order. And I actually managed to wake up. I'd found my universal method of getting out of a dream within a dream. I turned on the light and understood I was awake. Thank you.
Thank you, Tanya, and thank you all. Just a couple of upcoming events. Just on Monday, there's an Indian poet and translator and diplomat passing through and staying with me, and his name is Abe K. He's really quite wonderful and has published a number of books, including an anthology called 100 Great Indian Poems, and then another one, more 100 Great Indian Poems. Very original titles, these, but they are good poems or great poems. And anyway, he'll be reading, and so I just said, well, why don't you open up the house and have him read? And so if you're interested in coming, it'll be at my home in Rockville on Monday evening. So the information will be available on the to people to sign up. So it's another incentive for you to sign up. Then you'll get it in the mail. And then I just want to let you know, in this neighborhood, there's more poetry out here on Georgia at the Port-au-Prince restaurant. Once a month I host a reading there, and it's an open mic as well. So I'd invite you to bring work and read. It's usually on a Monday, and the next one will be on October 22nd. There'll be a featured poet and then an open. The featured on October 22nd will be Ethelbert Miller. Some of you may know. And so do come out to Port-au-Prince. Happy hour, have a poem with your drink and so on. Yes. The next DC Alt meeting,
Say again where they can sign for their email.
Outside, at the table.
at the table, just outside.
Well, if you also go to dcalt.com, dc-alt.com, there's a link to sign up for the listserv. And I wanted to also announce that all, DC Alt would like to offer a free t-shirt to all readers tonight. All right.
All right. Well done.
Okay, I believe the next DCL meeting is going to be Saturday, October 13th, or it could be Sunday, October 14th. I'm not sure. Check the calendar. But anyway, it's definitely that weekend. I believe it's going to be a workshop. So it's bring your own stuff, whatever you're working on, whatever you're translating. Bring it. We'll share. We'll give feedback. It'll be fascinating and intriguing and entertaining. And that also happens right here in the neighborhood at Eastern Village, where Joanne and I live, which is right around the corner on Eastern Avenue. So follow the email list, check the website, talk to Carol, talk to Indran. Eventually he'll know what's going on. And come to the next meeting.
Do I get a t-shirt too? All right. Congratulations. Really, this is an amazing evening. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you, Mark. Mark, thank you. Thank you.
Slowly, slowly.